All right, guys, Mckinatec MTA for the Streamlight TLR 1. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, real quick side note, the Gershon Regard MC pistol. Holy cow. Thanks to one of my boys for letting me go ahead and borrow this last night. Got to do a little bit of dry fire this morning and then a couple rounds fired downrange this morning just to test compatibility with that particular holster. Holy cow, it was in the upper 20s this morning. And man, was I just having the hardest time manipulating that slide mounted safety and everything. But this was actually, this is a knockoff version of the Beretta M9, the service pistol that I had while I was in service and everything, that I had got a couple deployments with. And at least when I was in, I was able to get pretty proficient with that slide mounted safety and the particular platform. But maybe somewhere in the future, prior to me leaving Alaska and going home, maybe I'll get some more rounds downrange with this Gershon and maybe put out an initial review with it. But let's go ahead and jump into the holster and everything. Right, guys, the Mckinatec MTA holster. This will be my initial review out on this holster. This is a universal holster, and it is retention is based off of your actual light. He has three different options within the MTA lineup. Those three different lights are, or three different options are, the Surefire X300, the Streamlight TLR 1, and then also the Streamlight TLR 7. I own that TLR 7, and I actually also have an initial review out on it. Know that if you've watched that video or if you're about to watch that video, I do have some negative experiences with that particular holster. But in that video, I also did state that I still recommended this holster and that I would be probably buying another one eventually. And here it is here. Who is this holster for? I would say this holster is primarily for people who own a bunch of different pistols or has the access to a bunch of different pistols, which I kind of fall in both of those categories. And at this current moment, I'm not home. I'm actually in Alaska right now. But for those people, it gives you the access to have full training capability whenever you're out shooting everything. And what do I mean by that is instead of just standing behind on a lane or something like that, or just standing there in the woods just shooting from having it already prepped in your hand and everything. This way it allows you to go through the full motion. On the concealed one, the clearing the garment, gaining access to your pistol, your grip, your presentation side acquisition, trigger squeeze, all that stuff allows you to get into the full motion and take full effect of every trigger pull, whether it's during dry fire or actually while out shooting and everything. Who this is not for is for the person who only owns one pistol. Or one brand of pistol, let's say Glock 17, Glock 19, for example, or something like that. No, in that case, I would say buy a dedicated holster for your pistol and everything, as this holster is not perfect, despite I am really a big fan of them, and it's now my second one. Let's see. Hopefully that covers who this holster is for, and I didn't ramble off too much. Let's jump into lead times. Lead times he actually shows on his social media website and everything, 7 to 9 weeks. I have zero experiences with any of his other holsters. I only have the experience with this one and a previous MTA holster I had ordered. And man, on both of those, I got them extremely quickly. On the 7 Alpha one, I don't remember exactly. I'm sure I stated it on that video. I just remember it was quicker than the stated lead times. Once again, the lead time is 7 to 9 weeks. I got this sucker in 8 days. I'd actually made a post on being how excited I was on how quick of my response and the notice of delivery and everything, that he reached out to me. He's like, hey, it's not always going to be that quick. And it's primarily the MTA line. It's a really simple holster for him to put together or something on that line. So just know that if you're going for an MTA, it's probably going to be a lot quicker than that 7 to 9 weeks. No guarantee 8 days, but he states that it's one that has a quicker turnaround than make and model specific holsters and everything. But let's go ahead and get into my experience with this holster. All right, let's go ahead and start off with the pros of Mckinatec MTA. Two that I've already mentioned, the MTA. Quick turnaround time. Holy cow, if he keeps that up, that is definitely a really nice quick turnaround time. Cost. I haven't really looked for other universal ones. I am aware of one other one that is twice the actual cost of this one. I'm not going to mention that brand, but this one's only $75. For me, in my opinion, that is extremely affordable, as most holsters I go for are like $100 plus and everything. With that affordability, that other company I was mentioning, as soon as you get away from the basic colors and you start going with what I have here, like multi-chem black or anything else, holy cow, does the price jump up even more. Depending on which pattern color you go with, could be an extra $20 to $40. Once again, I just said that other one is double what this one is. Then you add even more money for freaking different patterns and everything. With Mckinatec, it does not matter what color you go with. It is still $75. Doesn't matter which light option you go with, it is still $75, or at least at this time it is. Other pros. Once again, I'm not at home right now, so I only have the 2 pistols that I brought with me, my Glock 20 and my Shadow Systems XR920, and then also my kids' pistols and everything. So every pistol I have access to here, I have tried and it has fit. On the older model, or not the older model, the other model I have, the MTA for the 7 Alpha, I've tried a ton of different pistols in that one. The only one I found that did not fit in this was the 6-hour X10, their 320X, their 320 10 mil pistol. I've not had the chance yet to try that on this one. When I get back home to Oregon and everything, I'll try it, as my buddy has, a couple of my buddies have the X10 models, so I'll be able to try that out when I get home. But so far, everything I've tried does fit in this so far. Let's see, pros. Double hooks. I've become a huge fan of double hooks. I like how for the holster, how 2 hooks helps keep it in the, keeps it in its place wherever you put it on your belt. I don't remember the name of that other clip, but that single clip that's like 2 fingers, 3 finger wide, foamy clip, whatever. At least in my experience, that one kind of rocks a lot. I've never been a fan of that. So I'm a huge fan of double clip style concealed carry holsters and everything. Let's see. Pros, am I missing anything? Open front. I'm a huge fan of the open front. I did not mention that at all when I had asked for this one. And what that's also allowed me to do is, so far here, it's allowed me to test ones with barrels longer than the holster itself, as well as to be able to utilize this holster with my JK105 silencer, a concealed silencer and everything. Having the open front allows it still to be able to fit in this holster. Huge fan of this holster. I would definitely recommend them, but let's go ahead and jump into a few cons that I did find. Okay, so I just showed you guys a couple pictures of maybe 2 of the 3 cons I had. 2 of those 3 cons all have to do with the concealment wing, or whatever he wants to call it. One of those cons is the same thing I had with my MTA that I mentioned in the MTA video, and that is that this thing moves left to right. These two cons might not be a big deal to any of you. For me, it is. The retention capability for this particular holster is these 3 bolts right here. Whenever you could get away with having other bolts for retention and just having attachment bolts for the wing, you could simply tighten it down and lock that thing in place. Considering they are part of the options in a retention, for me to get it to where it's comfortable for its accessibility and everything, it's allowing for this to be loose and slide back and forth. I mentioned on the older video I have for the 7 Alpha MTA that I was wondering if the wing had an elongated actual hole or something to allow for adjustability or something. One of those pictures I just showed you was the wing, close-up of the wing with the bolts removed, and no, it's just round, drilled out round and everything. What I noticed was, though, the bolts here are a much smaller diameter than the hole, and based off of how tight I have it for the comfort retention level that I want it at, it's having to be loose enough for this thing to move side to side. As far as that's concerned, back home I have a bunch of spare parts. Once I get home, I'll see if I have some slightly thicker bolts, which if I do, could fix it from the slide to slide movement and everything. The other con, the second con, which I stated that has to do with the wing, that I just showed you a picture, is the wing itself is adjustable. That's a good thing, which means it has a bolt here so you can adjust for different height, concealment aid and everything like that. But what I noticed is the bolt used for the height that it came with it's too long, and it extrudes out the back of the wing, and it's digging into the actual holster itself. So it just kind of drags as it moves freely on there and everything. Once again, if I have a shorter bolt at home, I'll simply replace it with a shorter one, or especially if I don't have larger diameter bolts here to stop the left and right movement, what I might do then is, where it's at a nice 90-degree straight line placement, is I might just drill a hole into this little piece of the holster to allow that oversized bolt to fit through, which would also then help me help it from moving side to side and everything. So both of those might not affect you at all. I'm freaking OCD. That drives me nuts. The next con, though, let me go ahead and show a picture of the before and everything real quick. And I wish I kind of took a video of what I did to fix it, or a video of that problem, but let me go ahead and show you guys a photo real quick. Right, guys, so the third and last con that I'm experiencing with this holster, this one might be a deal breaker for a lot of you. And also, man, maybe this is why that other holster is so damn expensive, is maybe it's perfect right out of the box and everything. But that picture, what I just showed you, was that the material of the holster was so high up that for me to come in and get a perfect grip on my pistol, it was causing me for my middle finger to just dig into it. And that first day or two where I was dry firing it and everything, I was just cutting the living hell up out of that knuckle. So immediately went to the garage, grabbed the Dremel and everything, and just started shaving down material and then checking fit until it fit my hand and everything. I don't know. It's like an attention to detail thing to me. Maybe he has small hands, and for him, he had the perfect clearance and just assumed it would work for everyone else. But I would say I have standard size hands. I don't know, maybe a little bit on the larger side. But I was just busting the living hell out of my knuckle. For me, I own a lot of holsters, and I've done a bunch of upgrades to fit upgrades to my pistol or to fit the needs of me, being big hands, whatever the case might be. But for some of you, this might be a deal breaker, especially if you don't own a Dremel, don't want to buy a Dremel, or don't want to have to be the one to fix the holster to work for you and everything. But in the end, I am still a huge fan of the MTA lineup. Despite I'm finishing out on cons with this initial review, I am still happy overall with this holster and everything. And as far as the knuckle buster, I fixed that. I don't have that issue anymore. I continue to use this both while I'm up here visiting my son, to include once I get home, and for daily carry, as well as for testing out of miscellaneous different pistols that I can get my hands on, both now and in the future. All right, you guys. Hopefully this helps you guys out. Thanks and have a good day.